Today we're going to create this 3D iridescent metallic text in Photoshop. I'm starting a series called No More Gatekeeping to show you my favorite designs and how they're made and the techniques that you need to make them too. I've put in the description below the exact textures that I use, which are free to download, so I recommend doing that before we start the tutorial. We're going to start by making a new canvas. I'm going to go to the Art and Illustration preset and I'm going to click Poster, change the background to black, change my title and just hit create when you're done. I'm using the font Likic by Adobe Fonts, but you can use any font that you like. If you want a similar look to mine, I recommend choosing a font that has some curves. We're going to use the type tool to type out our text, change the color to white, use the transform tool to make our text bigger. I'm going to position this in the center of my page and we're going to double click to the right side of our layer 1. This will bring up the layer style panel. I'm going to click bevel and emboss and contour. And we're going to use the sliders here to change the depth and size of our 3D effect. And we also need to change the gloss contour. So you can copy my exact settings on the screen, adjust the contour, make the range 100% and press OK when you're done. You may need to adjust the sliders for your specific font. Right click on layer 1 and press convert to smart object. And then I'm going to go to the gradient tool and create a gradient. And I'm going to use one of my previous gradients. You can copy my exact settings on the screen. We're going to go to the top filter panel and click liquefy. But actually, before we do that, we're going to right click on the layer and go to create clipping mask, and then go to filter and click liquefy. This way we can actually see layer 1 underneath of our gradient, which will make it a lot easier to work with. So we're going to use the first tool in the liquefy panel to create an oil spill effect, and this will make it look a lot more realistic. And when you're done, just press OK. We're going to go to the blending mode panel, which is where it says normal. So blending modes are basically instructions that tell a layer how to interact with the layer underneath. And we have different sections to choose from. So we've got the basics, darken blending modes, our lighten, contrast, inversion, and our component blending modes. So for this one, we're actually going to change it to overlay. And we're going to duplicate the layer, bring it to the top. And we're going to rename our layer to 1 to keep things tidy. And we're going to change the blending mode for layer 1 to soft light. And I'm going to bring down the opacity a little bit. Now I'm going to duplicate layer 1. So we're going to change the blending mode for this layer to screen, and I'm going to change the opacity slightly to around 29. Now we're going to select all of those layers and group them together, call it text, just to keep things nice and tidy. We're going to go to the adjustments panel and click on color balance, and I want to bring out some of the blue colors to make this look more metallic. So I'm going to use and adjust these sliders in the mid-tone section. Again, increasing those blue and pink tones. And now I'm going to do the same in the shadows and the same for the highlights as well. I'm going to go back to my gradient layer, click on the word liquefy, and this will allow me to re-edit it as I go along. So I can actually be more specific with where I want the shadows and highlights. So I'm going to duplicate this layer again and I'm going to rename it 3, and this time we're going to drag it to the very top, and I'm going to change the blending mode this time to overlay. Bring up the opacity to about 53. Now we're going to add our color image. So this is an image that I got from Unsplash. I've also put it in the description. We're going to add this and make it a bit bigger. Go to filter, blur and Gaussian blur. And we're going to get rid of all those harsh lines. So I'm changing the blur to about 126. I'm changing the blending mode to hue. I'm bringing down the opacity on the slider to about 37. So we can just about see the color. We're also going to, again, adjust that liquefy to change the direction of those shadows. And on my color layer, I'm going to go to filter and liquefy. We're going to make a liquid effect using our brush to be specific with where exactly we want certain colors on our letter. Go to the adjustments panel, go to brightness and contrast, and I'm going to increase our brightness and decrease the contrast. go back to the adjustments panel and click on curves. Curves are a precise map of our image's light, so we can change the shadows, our midtones and highlights and be very accurate. We can think of it like 3 sections. On the bottom left we have shadows, and at the top right we have highlights. In the middle we've got our midtones, and by making points on our curve and moving these up and down, we can change the intensity of our highlights, midtones and shadows. So I'm going to make 2 points on my curve in the shadows and the midtone section and bring those up a little bit and brighten those shadows and midtones. Now back in our layers panel, we are going to group all of these effects together in a new group folder. I'm going to call it effects, and I'm going to drag and drop my color image in there as well, and the layer I've called 3. And now I'm going to go back to that gradient layer at the bottom, and I'm just going to readjust those placements of shadows and highlights. Blur this out by going to Filter, Blur and Gaussian Blur, just to get rid of any of those harsh lines as well. So I'm going to choose about 27, and I'm going to also adjust the liquify on the color layer as well. Choose exactly the direction of those colors on my letter. I'm also going to slightly adjust the blur as well. Now we're going to our color balance, where I'm going to bring out more of those greens and blues, so you can copy my sliders on the screen. We're going to create a new layer and call it highlights. So I'm going to use the brush tool from my toolbar, and I'm going to manually draw in those highlights where I want them. And then I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Lower the opacity to about 15. I'm going to change the curves just to give it a nice glow. We're going to go and make our final adjustments to the color balance now that we have all of our components. So I've put the values on the screen so you can copy mine. And I'm going to adjust the Gaussian blur once again, just a little bit on that color layer. And then I'm going to change the direction of those colors again with the liquify. And I'm going to duplicate layer 2, bring it to the top, change the blending mode to normal and the opacity to 100. So now we're seeing it without any effects applied. Scroll down to luminosity on the blending mode panel, and I'm going to change my opacity to about 43, and we're going to call this overlay. And again, making some final adjustments to the direction of my colors in the liquify section. And I'm going to drag and drop my texture, which again is in the description below, and we're going to make this bigger. And I'm going to apply a blending mode to it, so we're going to choose divide. And I'm going to right click just next to my canvas where I can actually change the color to black. So now I can preview my final text. There we have it. We have our chromatic iridescent metallic text in Photoshop. And don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks.